Welcome back to the Florida Aviation Network, and this is the second segment. Hopefully you didn't miss the first one. If you did, you're going to have to play it back. Paul Harvey came up with a little phrase that kind of catchy, and I like it, but now it's time for page 2, the rest of the story. With Gene Conrad. Gene, welcome back. I know
Yes,
we didn't go far, but we hung in there. But Gene, we're going to talk a little bit deeper about the airport and how the airport has kind of supported and helped Sun and Fun grow, and how Sun and Fun has morphed into ACE, Aerospace Center for Excellence, and what that whole dynamic is going to bring to us. And it's going to include a lot more than we have discussed in the past. But you have a vital role in the education of the aviation and aerospace people, if you will. And I am going to stretch out there, and we talked a little bit briefly about the high school and how there has been very little effort on the middle school aspect, because really those formative years are really, it kind of sets the course in the middle school. So what is ACE doing to address the middle school population?
Sure. So obviously, we talked a little bit earlier about Central Florida Aerospace Academy and our high school on the campus there. But also, I know people are well aware, hopefully are well aware of AOPA and their high school curriculum, which, high schools all over the country can put, or school districts all over the country can, put that curriculum into their high schools and get these high school age kids going and, inspired hopefully and be a part of aviation long term. But really, when you think about it, and what we've realized over time, having the high school there, is and talking to educators, is we need to get these kids much earlier, right? And so I will tell you, so there are 2 pre-aviation academies at the Polk County Public Schools, one at Sleepy Hill Middle School and one at Mulberry Middle School. And that are feeders into the Central Florida Aerospace Academy, but we need more middle schools to participate. And again, like I said, we need to get these kids involved and engaged earlier. And one of the things we're looking at is again, AOPA has a high school curriculum. We're looking to build out a middle school curriculum as far as the Aerospace Center for Excellence, and then putting that out into middle schools across the country, because we really think, again, we need to get these kids much earlier. Just talk about how early we really need to get them. This last week, we just started story time in the Florida Air Museum for kids 2 to 5. Just for them to come in, and we had Eric Crump, our new ACE executive director. His wife did the story time for 45 minutes, and we didn't know how it was going to go, by the way. How many kids we'd actually get to show up. We had 55 kids show up. This is a first time event for us. 55 kids show up, 97 people with the parents and everything. But that's just, and it's a free event, but just to get these kids in, because they're our future. And we really need to put as much focus as we can on them as early as possible to inspire them and get them engaged. And again, whether they're a pilot or they're aircraft technician, we need people in all aspects. And we need air traffic controllers, we need airport managers, lawyers. I mean, anything that you can think of out there.
You had to throw lawyers in there, didn't you?
Yes, well, lawyers. My wife is a lawyer, so
Okay.
I have an affinity. I have an attraction to lawyers, apparently. But it's important. We need good people, and we need to get them as early as possible.
Gene, is this program duplicatable? I mean, if you mentioned mulberry, a lot of people, mulberry, what's that? Something that you eat? It's a fruit? No, this is local to us, but is it duplicatable in case in other organizations
Sure.
do want to? We like that idea. How would we plug it in? I mean, AOPA, they have their ambassadors. Mm-hmm. Who are our ambassadors for ACE?
Well, it's us. It's the people that are coming to the FUN Aerospace Expo. It's our volunteers, and that's a great point. So when I will tell you, when I was at the airport and I'd go talk to various groups and understand the mass of what we have as far as ACE and all of our educational components on our campus. When you think about what we need to do for the industry moving it forward, because we talked about general aviation isn't exploding. We need people to get involved. We need, technicians again and pilots and all of that. but if you look at what we have, you need to take what we have and you need to duplicate it on 5 airports in every state in this country. And I would tell you at that point, you can start to make a dent. But we need people, like we talk to various communities across the country or different organizations and foundations, and they said, they ask, how did you get there? How did you do that? Money is one thing, brick and mortar, we can go build stuff all over the place, but we need people that are all rowing in the same direction and have a common task and goal that they want to accomplish. And that's how we were able to do what we've done, right? It doesn't happen overnight, but we got everybody rowing in the same direction. But we need partners in industry to help, right? And I will tell you, like whether it's the Boeings of the world, Airbus, it's Lockheed, General Dynamics, you name it, these things and what we have, we could, as a country, we could accomplish this and get these 5, or what we have again on 5 airports across the country. But we need people to come together and pay attention and help us get it done, and not just us, but all the communities. And I will tell you one thing that I'm saddened about is that during COVID, and all this money that was distributed from the FAA around the country to the various airports and whatnot, I think all the monies, and I think there was a lost opportunity there specifically for aviation that we could have rallied around, because a lot of my commercial service airport brothers and sisters are sitting on quite a bit of money that they thought they were going to need to continue to operate, because during that year period, their passenger employments fell off obviously significantly. They still needed to operate, but they also recovered really quickly. But they were also given additional tens of millions of dollars, and they're all sitting on a lot of money. They're commercial airports, right? Not the general aviation airports. We were kind of left behind. Hopefully this doesn't get me in trouble, but I think people need to appreciate, our commercial service airport brothers and sisters can do a lot more for what we do, for example, and what we're trying to do. And I believe even the new CEO over at Orlando International Airport, they just identified in their new master plan and new initiatives moving forward is developing an aviation high school on the airport there, which is great, right? But there's so much that could be done, and unfortunately there was so much money that was doled out during COVID. I think it was a golden opportunity that was missed. But hey, we can rally, but we need to get everybody on board. And really paying attention to not only to what we're doing, but the efforts that it's going to take to get the industry healthy again and get it moving forward. But we can do it. We just have to focus.
Well, and it's using the infrastructure, and if there's infrastructure not there, it can be developed, and that's why I mentioned, is it duplicatable? And I encourage anybody that's watching this program, you're deputized. You are now responsible for spreading this word and getting it out there, because we have talked for many, many years, Gene, about the shortage of mechanics. And don't worry about it, it'll fill in. No, it will not fill in.
Yep.
We got a brain drain to where all the old guys, and I wasn't going to say this on the camera, but Gene, I'm dying. I am dying. I'm not done yet, but we're all dying, and nobody's getting out of this world alive. So we're not done. So you old guys and gals that are out there with all this experience, don't just kind of lay back and continue drinking and smoking and doing all the things that old people do. Get out and share that passion, share that knowledge with what's going on. And I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying that, but we're both going to be in trouble.
But one thing is, go out there and grab a young person and drag them to the airport, someone or a family or neighbor or something like that, and get them out to the airport. I've heard, when I was running Lakeland, everybody's worrying about the fences, and back in the day you could do that, but you know what? The fence isn't an excuse. I mean, there's opportunities. You get them out there. Hey, it's just some layer that you have to go through. It's not a big deal. I know TSA sometimes is scary or whatnot, but they're really not. There's always a workaround. But get those young folks out there, mentor, take the time, and it's not easy, right? Some of our young folks are a lot different, and they do different things, and they're always looking down. We need to get them to look up, and that's what, not only for our educational efforts and what we do on a year-round basis with ACE, but, that's what I will tell you, there's a lot of people, the F-18 tech demo that was at Sun and Fun this year, that person flying that airplane grew up in Winter Haven and got engaged and involved in aviation because he came to the FUN Aerospace SXPO. Yeah. And we got to get them to look up. And whether it's RC model flying, it's, Piper Cubs on grass, You know, we do all that at Lakeland, you know, but we just got to get them to look up, and what a way to do that with an airplane's passing over your head. Mach 2 with your hair on fire, right? They're not doing Mach 2, by the way, but
well, fast.
yes.
Or 70 knots.
Yep.
I mean, it's okay. And yeah, you know, it's funny you mentioned you know, doing this rather than doing that. Back when all these the children of the magenta line, the glass panels, and back when I was with the FAA, I was concerned because we're in there doing this, and I call it head down and locked. Where the head needs to be up and open. I mean, and as well as being able to focus on the panel, but you're right. I mean, and there's so much of this going on, and we can use this. This little device right here is an education tool.
Yep.
It's been really capitalized on the social media thing, but let's use it. It's out there. We're not going to stuff the genie back in a bottle, so let's use it to our advantage.
Yeah, but these pads and everything that, you know, whether it's the phone or iPads or whatnot, I will tell you, my 15-year-old, he will literally, so he has different flight simulators that he's downloaded and whatnot. He will, at 10 o'clock at night, start a flight from, you know, San Francisco, and he's going to China or something like that, and he will wake up and land the airplane, right? He'll get up, he'll get it going, he has his flight plan going, it'll fly itself through the night, and he'll wake up and then land it when it gets over to Shanghai or whatever.
That's cool.
But that stuff didn't exist, obviously, when I was a kid. But, you know, even though they're looking down, they're you know, especially my kid, he's definitely involved in that stuff, and he's flying simulators all the time. But, you know, we've got to get these young folks engaged, and, you know, it's our job to make that happen.
And I got to share a quick story about Gunner. I was out walking on the flight line at the Warbird this past Sunday FUN, and the Air Force had their display set up there. And they had a football, and they had a target. And there were the kids out there who were throwing a football. There was this one kid in particular that was just, man, he's just so focused. And he just kept trying and kept trying and kept trying. Didn't make it many times, but he kept trying. I didn't know that was Gunner at the time, but he was really a charger. He's really a all-around kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's a good kid, and you know, I will tell you, with my upbringing, my father was pretty hard on me. I'm probably more hard on him than maybe some parents are, you know. But I also tell him at the end of the day too, you know, if you can handle me, you're gonna be able to handle the world. So I put a lot of pressure on him, but he's performing at a high level. I don't know how this even happens, but he's getting better grades now that he's a sophomore in high school than he did in second grade. So I think something's going right. So he's on the right path.
Positive pressure.
Yeah.
Positive pressure. Airport, runways. I know that Lakeland's fixing to go through a big transition, and we've already discussed the fact that Sun and Fun's going away. It's gone.
It is not.
Okay. That's going to enhance actually the 6-day operation called Sun and Fun.
Correct.
And as well as all the other programs that are going on. And I didn't realize this. I'm going to develop summer camps. I had no idea that you're going from what, 3 to 18?
We did 3 summer camps last year.
And you're going to?
18 next summer.
Wow. That's a lot of activity.
Absolutely. You know, but to drive that activity, you have to have a plan, right? And then you have to be able to execute the plan, and you got to get everybody on board because there's stakeholders and everything that we do, whether it's where I am now with, you know, ACE and the FUN Aerospace SXPO or at the airport, you know. But if I can, and again, we talked about it before, and all of the discussion out there and concern about Sun and Fun and the Aerospace Expo, you know, all these changes for the airport are still 8 to 10 years out. 8 to 10 years out.
And that's just on the plan.
Well, to execute. So, for example, it doesn't mean it's going to happen, but the runway, the future parallel runway, that thing being constructed and operational, best case scenario would be 8 years. It may be 15. But when I'm out there talking, and even the interim airport director, who used to be my assistant airport director, we're 8 to 10 years out before that happens. There's a lot of things that have to occur. If you've been to the event, and hopefully you have, you know, the VOR that's out in the middle of the airfield, that has to move. That's several $1 million to move that VOR.
Let me stop you. VOR, and for all folks that VOR, and it's a little sombrero. It's a little building that sends out this message, a signal.
Yep.
VHF, omnidirectional range, VOR. That's one thing that we in aviation are so bad about, having all these acronyms. It just roll off the tongue.
And just for everybody's edification, our VOR is super important because all the traffic coming from South Florida, like Fort Myers, the southwest corner, is flowing over the top of us. All the traffic going into Orlando International from the West Coast is flowing over the top of us. So right in the center of the state, that's a very, very important VOR. So a lot of people are like, what do you even need it for? They're getting rid of them. They're not getting rid of this one. So when we do move it, it's going to go out into the parking lot that the vehicles are parking in now for the FUN Aerospace Expo, but we're actually going to put it up on stilts. It'll be 50 foot in the air, so we can still park vehicles and all of that in the open field out there. So
Kidneys.
yes, well, we're
Kidneys.
thinking about the fly-in though,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
we're going to put it up on stilts, but that's going to take several years to get done. Then the airport has to go through an environmental assessment, right, in public meetings and all of that to get the new runway in place. So that's several years. And then also it's going to cost hundreds of millions of dollars to get this new runway and put all the infrastructure in place. So again, 8 to 10 years, it may be much longer than that, but really 8 to 10 years. You know, but if you think about it too, and how the event, for example, just during our 6 days operates, you know, we have the big runway 1028, which is basically warbirds, you know, the fighters, other folks that are flying in.
1028. What are you talking about?
Our big runway.
1028.
It used to be 927.
What are you talking about? That's the direction
That's
that it's
correct.
going. Oh, it's 100 degrees
Yes.
and 280 degrees?
Yes.
I didn't know
And
that.
Mother Nature just changed that for us. So it was 927, it's now 1028. They just, I think we just changed that over right before Sun and Fun.
Is about every 10 years? 10 or 15
depends.
years? It depends.
It depends. I was there for a decade, and it had been 927 for a long time before I got there. So
It's just the magnetic variation, how the Earth is wobbling a little bit. But
That's
I'll
correct.
let Dr. Batuskas.
yes, I'll let the smart people talk about that more in depth in the
But
future.
I just wanted to stop you there because, again, we talk acronyms and runway 10 and 28. Some folks watching this, why is it called 10 and 28? Who determines what number it is? Well, it's just, anyway.
Yep.
I tripped you up.
No, you're
Keep
good.
going. All right.
I'm on it. I had plenty of coffee this morning, so I'm with it right now. You know, so, you know, 10-8, you know, the warbirds use it, the heavies for the military, when the statics are coming in, twins, and when they need to, you know, departures during the event. But the skinny, which is Taxiway Alpha the rest of the year and has the orange and green dot on it, you know, that's where the majority of the traffic is landing. And so, you know, it is not the best setup in the world. And if you think about AirVenture, right, you've got 927, you got your east-west, and you got 1836. And essentially you have two separate operations. And you're able, and up at AirVenture, they're able to run, some days this year, they run over 3,000 operations. You can run a lot of traffic with that setup, right? And so we are limited by what we can do now just because of our infrastructure, just having the one runway and then having to use the taxiway. But if you think about it, when we do have a new full-length parallel, which will probably be anywhere from 7,400 to 8,000 feet long, when you think of AirVenture, then you take it, and now you have two parallels, you have two separate operations. So you have the existing 1028, but now Alpha, which is used for the littles, I call, and have the orange and green dot on it, now just becomes a regular taxiway, right? And then you'll have 1028, and then you'll have another runway and another taxiway south of that. You know, so you're going to have two real runways at 700 feet apart when you can run a lot of traffic. So for the future of the event, and again, Amazon or larger aircraft when they're coming and going, even when they're coming right now, Amazon has 12 arrivals and 12 departures per day right now. That's not a lot, okay? And during our event, you know, like last year, for example, there were 5 arrivals during the daytime hours or during when the NOTAM's in effect and 5 departures. So the rest of the operations are happening outside of the NOTAM period. But when you have an operation, you have two real parallel runways at 700 feet apart. During daytime, we can run simultaneous operations. You can run a lot of traffic. Right now, again, we're limited. We can actually run more traffic when that future parallel is in place.
So you mean to tell me that even though Amazon has taken over the airport, they just have 24 movements a day?
There's 24 movements right now. And granted, that will grow over time. But also when we talked earlier, you know, they cut 60% of their flights this year to accommodate our event. So, and I will tell you too, when you're like, there were some unique challenges this year when we go back, and some of the folks that are probably watching, you know, we had rain on Thursday, right? So it rained us out. So, you know, there's a lot of people, it's VFR operation. We still had some arrivals, you know, that folks are coming in IFR. But when you compress and you take all that volume and traffic that wanted to get there on Thursday in preparation for the weekend, and then you open up on Friday, we did 1,231 operations on Friday. And so it was challenging for us because you have all these folks, all the people want to fly in on Friday, plus all the people that couldn't get there on Thursday, and all of a sudden, whoosh, here they all come. The unique challenge for us this year, unfortunately, and you can blame me for this, Amazon got blamed for it, but it wasn't their fault. When you're landing 2-8, or on 2-8 left or 2-8 right during our event, right? So the taxiway or the real runway, and you expedite all the way to the end, Papa wasn't back in place. The FAA didn't give us the money to reconstruct Papa and put it back in place prior to the event this year. It will be for next year. So what was happening, especially on Friday, is people were coming, lots of volume. We were holding people at Lake Parker and also Lake Hancock, because we literally on 2-8 right, which is Alpha, the skinny with the dots, we had to land 33 at a time, stop, and then back taxi those aircraft across the runway. But we still ran 1,231 operations safely, which was our highest single day total since 2013. So even having to do that, so kudos to the FAA and air traffic and our friends that come in and operate our tower with 60 folks, not only in the tower but on the ground.
Sure.
They were stacking them 33 deep at the end and then having to shut down the arrival to back taxi them on the runway. So I will tell you, Amazon got blamed for all of that, but that was not them. It was the infrastructure wasn't back in place, unfortunately. You can blame me for that.
We will.
Thank you. But that is actually what was happening. And also, I mean, you think about it again, the highest single daily total for operations since 2013. So we ran a lot of traffic safely, even being constricted and not being able to, not a perfect world on the ground for us to operate.
Wow. And Gene, you've thrown out a lot of different numbers, figures, stats, and so forth.
I'm a numbers person, if you can't tell.
I can tell.
I like numbers.
But you got to be, hey, liars figure and figures don't lie.
I was thinking about that when I was coming here today, because that's a true statement.
Yeah. And also the guy in my ear, NOTAM, PIREP. If you don't know what that is, look it up. NOTAM. You dig it out. And PIREP, PIREP. Dig it out. Challenge. Gene, the airport terminal is it's somewhat small for commercial operations, but it's there. It's functional. What is it? One or two gates? How many gates are?
I think there's 4.
4 gates.
Yep.
And there's also a restaurant there.
Correct.
And
New restaurant.
Brand new restaurant.
New restaurant.
And the Waco, the old famous
Waco Kitchen.
Waco Kitchen. Is it kitchen or cafe or?
Kitchen.
Waco Kitchen. And again, look up Waco out there. WACO. What a Waco is. It's not wacko. It's Waco. But the restaurant, and understand that it's no charge for flying in.
Correct.
No landing fee.
Correct.
No parking fee.
Correct.
All you have to do is fly down,
Show up.
walk over, and get that $300 hamburger. Used to be a $100 hamburger. Now it's a $300 hamburger. But that's okay. It's still a good burger. But it's little things like that's pulling the area. We got kids. We've got education. We've got Amazon, which is bringing the big guys in. But the littles, I like your term, the littles, the little bitty fellas. We're going to fly the Taxiway down there. I've got to get my transponder recertified there at Gulf Coast. Oh, I just gave a plug for Gulf Coast Avionics. Damn.
Well, he's my boss. Rick Garcia, who owns the company, is my boss. So
hate it when
good
that
plug.
happens.
Thank you.
Hate it when that happens. Yep. FlySNF.org and also ACE.edu.org.
Correct.
If we had the capability of popping that on the screen, we probably will. But these are getting a facelift, I think, October 1st. Did you mention?
Yes, so we have all new websites as of October 1st. And a lot of that is we're again laser focused on the customer experience, we want everybody to be flying in, right? We want a lot of airplanes on the ground, but we know we have a lot of campers, we have a lot of people driving in, and we are laser focused on the customer experience, and we need to make sure we're getting the right information out there. We're also upgrading our ticketing system, so as far as your ability to purchase online, and also online parking, which is a big shift for us. Not that a lot of my fly-in friends care about this, but I guess they do, because some people can't fly in because of the weather, because we sit in the peninsula, and whenever there's a front sitting there, it muddies the waters for us. But a lot of people are driving in. Unfortunately, on Friday and Saturday, there's a parking lot on the big 4-lane road, or Pipkin, out there in front of our, on the south side of the event site. But we will have prepaid parking this year. So people will be able to buy parking online, come in with the QR code, get it scanned and go in, because we got to get people off the road. We need them inside enjoying the event. But those are the types of things that we're focused on. But in order to accommodate all that, with new websites, new information, new ticketing system and all of that, October 1st is a big date for us to make sure all these things are aligned and ready to go as we start selling tickets for next year.
Gene, I don't know what all is involved with that, but I'm getting a headache just thinking about online parking.
It's what we have to, a lot of events have done that. And when you think about the fly-in, the fly-in aspect's very important. That's what we love. But logistically, it's such a huge event. There's so much going on. Power for camper hookups, water, traffic, having Lakeland Fire Department there, Lakeland PD, Polk County Sheriff's Office, dealing with the municipalities, the neighborhoods that are around us too. A lot of people love the airport, but some people unfortunately don't love aviation. I don't know what their problem is. I don't get it, but anyway, yeah. But there's a lot to balance, and I will tell you, you don't know what you don't know, and you think you know stuff. As the airport director there for 12 years, but now coming over and running the organization, there's a lot of stuff that I didn't necessarily know. I think I had an idea, but there's a lot, and it's a big machine to make it all go. But again, I have a great team, brought on a lot of new folks over the last several weeks.
Dennis Dunbar.
Yes.
I got to give a plug for Dennis, because he was very, very helpful for me back when I was with a different company up at Oshkosh.
Yep.
But excellent addition.
Yeah, and he was up at AirVenture for 10 years, running the air shows and features and attractions up there, and now he's same position with us. He's the director of air shows and attractions. But it's not. We didn't bring him here because we want to be AirVenture. That's not the goal. We just want to be the best Sun and Fun. And we need to. There are things that we need to address. I will tell you, we need more people flying in. And whether it's home builds, vintage has always really been healthy, but vintage, seabirds, aerobatic aircraft, warbirds, there's areas and things we need to do better. And to cater to our fly-in traffic and give them the best experiences they come in as well. And I think a little bit of, unfortunately, that has been lost over some of the years, but we are laser focused on that. I will tell you, we're not perfect, but we're going to put in perfect effort, and really for a home built community too, because that's how we got started, and that's how EAA got started, and we really need to focus on them and get them back in big numbers back on the airport.
If you settle for less, you will be less. So you got to strive for you're never going to make it, but perfection. If you don't strive for perfection, you're never going to make it. But and another thing that we haven't mentioned, but we don't want to dwell on it, but security and safety. I mean, I see a lot of that going on in the organization, and the safety aspect of it, and just basic security. It's a big, well-attended event, and the law enforcement, they're on top of things.
Well, law enforcement is one piece, but just the security aspect, because we have volunteers that work on the security side. We have volunteers that work in airside operations, right? We have to. It's not only just protecting the perimeter, and we need to charge, right? And we can't let every Tom, Dick, and Harry in, but we have to protect that runway too. And I think a lot of people come to the event and they don't appreciate it, but there's a lot of vehicles out there. There's a lot of activity. There's a lot of people that haven't. When I was at the airport, and during Sun and Fun, we opened up the whole south side of Lakeland Linder International Airport, and it's a little bit scary. When I was the airport director, there's a lot that we were worried about and watching and paying attention to, because we need to have a safe event. And there have been instances, unfortunately, where people wound up on the runway that weren't supposed to be there in a vehicle or walking, and it's serious stuff. And we need to be on top of those things. And so we have a great contingent of folks and runway guards and people that are out there, but everybody needs to stay vigilant, and that's what keeps me up at night.
Everybody's a deputy. If you're there on the ground,
see something, say something. In all aspects of what we do in aviation.
Sure, period. Gene, that's going to wrap it up for us here today. It doesn't seem like we've been talking about this for an hour, does it?
It went super fast.
Too fast. Let's do it again someday.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Appreciate the time.
Thank you. And I'm going to give out the secret code to get your to get your wings credit. If you're watching this, get your wings credit. And the secret code is, did you get that?
I did not.
Okay, I'll give it to you again. You got it? Hate it when that happens. I guess you're just going to have to wait for to roll up on the credits after this program is over. So take it easy. Ben Coleman, your anchor host here for Plane Time. And we will see you next interview. And please share this with a friend or make a new friend with it. Take it easy.